Hey everyone, thank you for joining Atlanta Divorce Law Group on this special segment on how to take care of our children throughout the divorce process. I'm attorney Sarah Kaki, and I am joined by my great friend Amy Head, who is an author and a family therapist. Amy is the co-author, and she actually co-authored this with her husband, of Inside Parenting, Empowering Parents from Within. Amy, thank you so much for being here. If you don't mind, could you share a little bit about your story on why you've authored this book and why you find yourself being a family therapist?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me today. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to have some time to talk about this and help some people hopefully out there. But basically I got into counseling and therapy because I just have always loved people, and I feel like a lot of times when people are in their times of struggle that they're looked at really negatively and they're looked at away from their strengths. And I feel like the struggling points are really oftentimes the best times to find our strength. So I love working with kids and teens and adults in that way. As far as how the book came about, we have two kids. They're 2 years apart. Mm-hmm. Our daughter was about to go to college, graduating in 2015, and we were starting to feel that empty nest coming about, and our son would be 2 years behind her. So we thought, we almost have finished this parenting thing, at least getting them through to college. Maybe we've done a few things right. Maybe we've messed up as well. But let's just start writing our thoughts down. And we thought if we could maybe put some insights into a book, it might help some other folks out there. So that's kind of where the idea for the book came from. And we really take it from a strengths perspective, but really focusing on the parents, not so much on the kids, because there are a lot of books that are out there that focus on the kids, and they're all good resources as well. But we really wanted something that really just spoke to us as parents.
And it's such a big part of going through the divorce is concern for how is the child going to handle this,
right?
And how can we step up to be the parent that the child needs while we're going through this. So we have a number of questions that we always get from our clients, and we receive from people that watch our videos about how to help your children go through this process with minimal impact. So the first thing that I would love for you to address is, in your world and in your expertise, is divorce considered a traumatic event for a child?
Wow. Well, there are a lot of events that I think could be considered traumatic for a child. For an adult, losing a pet, having financial changes in the family, moving, relocating. But of course, divorce is a big transition as well. So I think it can be traumatic, like any other event could be traumatic, but so much of what happens in that process, I think, is how the parents decide to address the divorce or the upcoming divorce with the kids, and how they bring it to the table and how they receive the responses from the kids. So I feel like if the kids are involved and the parents can set aside their discrepancies when they're dealing with the kids, then there's a lot less room for trauma and a lot more opportunity for growth through the transition. And that's what I really like to kind of focus on. So yeah, it can be traumatic, but as in any event, it depends on our perspective and then on how we decide to manage ourselves through the process, especially when we're working with the kids.
Because they're watching us.
They're watching us.
They're learning from us how they should feel about this.
Exactly. They are taking in way more than just the words that we say. They're taking in our expressions. They can feel what we feel. You can feel it at home, and we know our kids know how to read us pretty well. So yeah, we're modeling to them even if we don't realize it. So I think if we're more aware of ourselves, then we can make it an event that they can actually manage through pretty well.
And would you, for a child that is in an unhappy home, and what I mean by that is mom and dad aren't happy, mom and dad are constantly fighting. Everybody around mom and dad, when they're together, feel like they're walking on eggshells. And the child feels insecure in the sense of, I don't know if this family unit is it's going to stay together or not stay together. Could an unhappy home or an unhappy marriage also create a traumatic experience for a child?
I mean, I definitely think it can. Kids get their emotional stability first and foremost from the house, from the parents in the home, from the siblings in the home. So again, it's kind of how you decide to look at it, right? I mean, nobody wants to be in a volatile situation. Nobody wants to be in a home where it's unsafe to be who you are, or to speak what you need to speak, or just to feel what you need to feel. So yes, I mean, divorce doesn't necessarily mean trauma for a child. I mean, living in an unhealthy situation could mean trauma for a child. But again, it's really important, and we kind of address some of this in the book, that we need to take responsibility, even if we're in conflict with other people, with our spouse or whomever, to not bring that conflict to the child and to try to address the child to help them have as healthy a road in this journey as possible. So I think there could be trauma either way.
Right.
It just kind of depends on how we handle it.
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is that as painful as divorce can be, it doesn't have to be traumatic for the child if the adults involved take responsibility and act like adults, and show the child that, you said earlier that pain can create growth, and potentially pain can also create more resilient children. Yes. But you have to show them the other side of it.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's right.
And an unhappy marriage, a marriage where the child does not feel safe, feels that they're walking on eggshells, they want to always make sure they don't upset mom or upset dad, or hope that mom and dad don't get into anything, or that birthdays don't get ruined, Christmas doesn't get ruined, and they feel that tension could be just as traumatic.
Correct.
How much do the children learn from us, from watching mom and dad's marriage? How much do children learn how love or marriage is supposed to be? How much do they adopt that from us?
That's an interesting question, because I don't know that they even are aware of a lot of that until maybe they get into their own relationships, maybe dating in high school or college or getting married or that kind of thing. And then some patterns seem to come in to play, and when you kind of look at that, a lot of it is based on what they've seen before, right? So like we do a lot of marriage counseling, and when we see the dynamic and the patterns going on in the couple, and we delve into that a little bit, a lot of times it is because of what they experience. So I think, again, what kids are experiencing in their home, that's their normal.
Yeah.
That's what they know. So that's what they learn, and that's what they expect, and that's what they anticipate, and that's what they might do, unless they've had other experiences
unless they've seen something to break that.
Exactly.
But they very much, what we present in the home is what they expect is going to happen in their home.
It's the first thing they know.
Yeah.
So then what they know from that point forward becomes what they experience from other people. They go over to friends' houses, they see their friends' parents acting the same or differently, then they're trying to reconcile, that in their mind. This isn't like my house. So I think we are their first point of knowledge, their first point of security, their first point of information. So if anything were to change with that normal, we need to be sure to bring them along the journey carefully and help them to understand that this is part of our journey. And if it's something that is potentially traumatic, or if it's something that's not what they would want, we just have to help reassure them that this is part of the journey, but it doesn't mean that it defines it in a negative way or a bad way. Right. This is how we are. This is what's happened, but we are concerned about you.
Right.
So that kind of goes off the tangent of your question a little bit.
No, but it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and so here's the $1 million question, and we get this all the time from our perspective. Is there an age for a child where the impact of divorce would be less harmful? Is there an age where they're too young, or maybe they're too old, or they're too in the middle? Because we have clients that will come to us and they say, he's in his freshman year in high school right now. I don't want to disturb his high school education or his high school career, so we're going to stick it out another 4 years and wait till he's graduated. Or well, or there's also that conception of, well, it's just an infant, it's just a little baby won't even know, won't even get attached to anything, it's safer to do it now until they get too attached to the nuclear family concept.
That is a tough one. Yeah. The first thing that goes off in my head is middle school might not be the best time, only because the kids are experiencing so many things. Well, God,
already. My parents were happily married, and middle school was awful.
Well, that's the thing. But that's a stereotypical thing. Like, I think that kind of goes along with what you're saying. Yeah. Like, people are saying, let's wait through all the way through high school. I think people might feel the same way about middle school. Yeah. Then you think about the early on. It's really hard to say, but I think part of it is knowing your child too. Yeah. Like, I actually have some friends. I have a friend who he broke down recently, and his parents had gotten divorced when he was in his 30s, and it crushed him. Yeah. I mean, they're older, way older, and it was very hurtful for him. And he's not even a child, so to speak, but he's still their child. Yeah. So I think if you're trying to plan for when the best time is, again, it's a communication factor. Like, talking with your spouse, getting rid of all the mess and talking about what do we feel like is best for our son or our daughter. When would be the best timing? It's kind of hard to say, especially if you have kids who are several years apart in age.
Yeah.
It might be better for the one who's in, maybe in middle school, but it might not be the one who's about to graduate and all stressed out about college. So I don't know what the best answer is for that. It really just depends on the family dynamic all along, and then the kids' personalities, and then the parents' personalities. But I don't know if we can cookie cut out.
Because every family is different.
Every family,
and it depends also on, I would imagine, how well the parents can communicate with each other. Because we've seen parents that come to we'll see the wife or the husband that say we want to wait, like the example with until his high school career is over, and it really is. Okay, how are you guys functioning in that household now? Right. Are the children aware of what's going on? So you hear both sides. We keep it very amicable. We both can go to the baseball games, or we can both go to the basketball games, and the children are very nominally impacted. They know that we're sleeping in separate bedrooms, but we can all go to family dinner and it's fine. Or no, we're not talking to each other. He's in the basement, I'm in the master bedroom. Right. Some days I'm with him, and we don't. And so you're gonna create the structure for another 4 years for this child. Right. And high school, is a time when you start developing your own romantic relationships and start thinking about what you want and all that. And that could be, again, I think like you're saying, same answer to the earlier question, how traumatic can this be? It's, how traumatic the parents make it, or what kind of a relationship you have with your spouse.
Well, yeah, and honestly, kids are smart. I mean, they know what our dynamic kind of is with our spouse, right? They know if we get along, they know if we don't, they know if there's tension. There was actually on the radio this morning on the Burt Show, they were talking about kids who do interventions with their parents about divorce. Oh, wow. Saying, look, Mom, Dad, we know y'all don't get along. Why don't we look at doing something different? Because kids know. So, as much as we might try to outsmart the years or the process or where the kids are, they're aware. And, I think, again, it's communication. This is not something that's easy to be honest about with our kids, because it's the parent relationship, it's the spouse, it's the marital relationship. But again, if we know that's kind of the road we're going towards, then I just think it's important to involve the kids in some way to let them know. And they probably already know. Yeah. They probably already know, unless they're preschoolers.
I had a really close friend who said to me that when she was, I think, 26, her parents sat her and her brother down and said, we're getting a divorce. And both of them busted out crying and saying, couldn't you have done this 10 years ago? Yes. We knew you were miserable. And they're like, how did you know? Parents truly had thought they had shielded their kids from their pain and shielded their kids from how bad their relationship had gotten, but they knew. And they had known since, they were 16 years old, and they had wanted for the past 10 years for their mom and dad to get divorced, and they were crying some of relief, but they were also crying just because it brought back all the years of anger and hurt and pain that they felt when they were younger, when they were in their teens, and we're just like, why can't we just cut this out and be done with it? Wow. So it was really interesting, and I heard that, I was like, that's really powerful, and I think it's so important for more parents to realize that they're not doing their kids any favor by sacrificing their own happiness. Obviously, if you can work on it, if you could go to somebody like Amy and work on it, you should. And if it's a salvageable relationship, and it's a relationship that you want to work on. Right. But when it's past that point, it's past the point of saving it. It's almost like you really have to be careful thinking about that you both checked out mentally, but you're still physically staying there for the sake of these children who are very much watching and aware of what's happening.
Absolutely. And sometimes it might be helpful if you know that's where you are, and now it's just a matter of buying time. Yeah. It might be helpful for the couple to go speak to someone objective, to be able to say, here's where we are. We don't want marriage counseling. We just want to figure out how to talk to our kids, when to talk to our kids, should we talk to our kids? Yeah. And let an objective third party help with that a little bit, because when you're in it and you know your kids so well, and we've got dinner with grandma 2 weeks from today, so we can't do anything before then. You can't really necessarily have an objective view of that. So it might not be a bad idea to get a little coaching on that if you're looking,
especially if you decide that you are going to stay together, but you're pretty much checked out, but you want to coexist, and you want to coexist as a family, because no matter what, you're still a family. If you have children together, the children will always think of mom and dad as their family, so you're always going to be a family. So it's probably really great to go see a family therapist like yourself, just to define the rules of how we're going to coexist when mentally we've both kind of determined that we're done with the marriage. Right. But you mentioned talking to the kids. This is great. How do we tell the kids that divorce is happening? And at what age is it appropriate to even tell the kids? Is there an age?
I mean, let's look at how. I mean, I think how to do it, again, I'm a big fan of collaboration on that. I feel like even when the parents or the couple is in a lot of strife, it's still really important to check that and to come together to figure out how to best talk to the kids, because how it's done is going to be really key. And what I see a lot of times, I mean, you guys probably see it too, is one parent they'll say they're going to do it together, and then one parent will undermine and go to the kids first and say something, and then that begins to split the loyalties of the child, or it begins to start the emotional waterfall of this. So I think how it's really important to set up a process. We're going to talk to them together. We're going to do it at this certain time when we have time. We're not going to be bound by the clock to say, sorry, we can't finish this now. We'll come back to it. But how is really the key. As far as what age, again, it's kind of dependent on the kids' personalities. This is a bad example probably, but I remember when we were looking to one of our kids wanted to know if Santa was real or not. And it was our younger kid, and our older daughter, she didn't want to know. And so we had to talk to them separately. And so you have to kind of be aware of who your child is personality-wise, how they process things, what they want to know. And if they don't want that, you might have 3 or 4 children, you have to go through this divorce process. It might not be the best idea to tell them all in the same way or all at the same time. But again, the thing about all this is it takes a lot of energy, which is probably something we don't really have. When you are emotionally spent on your marital relationship, the last thing you probably want to think about having energy for is how to process this in a very effective way with the kids. But I think it's so important. You just really have to put that time into it to make sure so that it's as uneventful, traumatic-wise as possible.
And all that really, what age, how much to tell them, not tell them, really depends from child to child.
It does, and also on how much to tell them, and I'm glad you brought that back up, sorry I missed that, we don't have to tell them everything. I'm a big believer in tell them some, and then see what they do with that.
Okay.
If they ask a question from there,
piecemeal it.
Piece by piece. Because we know, we've been living with this for however many years, right? They have no knowledge of that. They might have ideas, but they don't know what we've been going through. So if we just, give it all like a fire hose, it's going to be overwhelming. There's trauma just with that. It's a lot to process. They're 12 years old. It's a lot, But I think give a little bit. Your dad and I or your mom and I have been struggling. And we're really a little concerned about that. And we're thinking we might need to do something different with our family structure. What does that mean? Or the kid might be like, okay, can I go shoot baskets? Sure. End it there. Come back to it.
Right.
Let them kind of direct it. The other thing is I don't think we always have to know exactly what to say. Sometimes that can evolve in the conversation and it takes some of the pressure off of bringing it to the child. So we can say, we want to talk a little bit about this and let them sort of be involved and take the lead if they're old enough to do that. And if they're 4, 5, 6, they're not going to probably be able to do that. But I just feel like some of the pressure doesn't have to be on the parents. Let the children help guide that process. They don't want to know everything.
That is really fantastic advice, and I'm taking that advice just dealing with my children
in general.
Exactly. I mean, we get in trouble in school, or we see behavior we don't like on the soccer field, and sometimes my husband and I will sit down and together come up with this grand speech we're going to make and all the different psychology that we're going to bring into it and be so careful we don't harm him in any way or impose some sort of one of our belief system on him. And then we do it like you said, and then it's exactly what you said. Well, okay, cool. Can I go to the basement and play with my toys now? Yeah, sure. I guess. Did any of that process?
Did you get that at all?
Yeah, it's letting them guide it. And I think that's why I love the title of this book, which is Empowering Parents from Within. And so many parenting books focus on correcting the child.
Yes.
And this is more about going back to yourself.
Yeah.
How you can step up, how you can show up as a better parent, as a more empowered parent, and correcting some of your own parenting skills rather than this is how you correct your child.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really powerful.
Yeah, well, thank you. We felt like, kind of one of the little things we say in there, and a couple people have mentioned it back to us, is, the whole process of parenting, it's called parenting. It's not called childing.
I love that.
So we thought, well, if it was really about the child, we feel like the verb, the action would at least have the child in that word.
Yeah.
So really, parenting is about what we do. That's why people say, like, I have these two kids. How did they ever come from the same house? Look at them. They're like two different people. Sure, because they are. But we're the same person.
Yeah.
So if we figure out ourselves, we can bring our best no matter which child it is. So that's.
There's definitely times where I personally have felt my children have raised me, whereas I've raised them, and I mean by that is raised me to become a more conscious and aware person.
Okay.
And become more alert, because you grow up so much with having children, and that never stops, because you always have to grow and learn. We're still continue challenging you, and just by the way they challenge me is how I feel like they've raised me. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Amy, tell us a little bit about type of families that you work with and what capacity you work with them, and if there's couples therapy, family therapy, child therapy. Give a little background on what your practice is.
Okay, yeah, it's a little bit of all of that. I work with children, teens, families, couples, individual adults as well. I have a lot of high school kids and college kids, and really I work with people from a strengths perspective. So they come in at a low point, whether it's a family dynamic or something going on in their lives or something that's happened that has caused something to not go well, and they're not seeing that they can move forward. They're stuck in that. So the way I kind of approach things is to listen to what's going on, listen to how it got there. Has it always been there? I really like to look at patterns. I don't need to dig into history from when you were 2 and 3 and 5 years old. I mean, sometimes that might be helpful, but really just look at patterns. When did you feel more capable or confident or able? When did that start changing? And let's look at how to get that back. Usually when people come in, they feel like they've lost themselves. They feel like they aren't who they used to be. They feel like they can't manage their lives or in a certain area. But then as we explore that, they are still who they've always been, the strong person they've been. They are still managing things, but they have kind of gotten under the rubble of the avalanche of circumstances that have happened. So I work with basically elementary school age all the way through senior adults. My husband and I actually do some marriage counseling together, which is kind of fun because then we have the male-female perspective, and we have our little banter that we can do. So when couples are going through that, we'll be like, yeah, tell me about it. And we can
put them at ease, not make them feel as bad about having that.
Exactly. And it's just nice to have that balance of perspectives in the room. Nobody feels attacked or underserved or underrepresented. So that's kind of.
So for anybody that is watching and is wondering if their child needs to see a family therapist, what are the signs that people should look out for to say, I might need to send my child to a therapist?
Okay, so one of the things that I usually encourage is notice if your child is acting within his or her normal personality.
Okay.
So for example, I had a mom come in, she had recently been divorced, she wanted the child to come in and talk to me. She's like, he just won't talk to anybody, I'm just so worried, he won't say anything, he won't tell me how he's feeling. We talked about that for a while, and then I asked her, well, let me just ask you, just under normal circumstances, does he usually talk a lot? Does he usually share his feelings? Does he usually let you know what's going on? She's like, oh no, he never tells me anything.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then what that tells me is he's operating within his natural personality. It's probably just augmented, because when we are stressed or traumatized or have had a bad experience or are just worried or fearful, our natural personalities just tend to get bigger. Like I'm type A personality. If I get stressed out, I'm not going to become suddenly laid back. I'm going to get way more stressed out about it, right? But if you're naturally laid back and a lot of stress comes in, you're just going to be more laid back. It's just more of who you are. So the first thing I tell parents is watch your child's personality, and even though you wish they were talking to you, or even though you wish they would stop talking to you, how do they normally act? If they're acting within that normal framework, I would not be as concerned. What I'm concerned about is when you have a very chatty child, and now all of a sudden he or she doesn't say much. it's not normal for that person. So that would be a little more concerning. Also looking at things that we would look at for any kind of difficult situation that a child's having trouble managing. Change in friends, change in behavior, change in academics, change in interest. That's a big one. If they've always played lacrosse, looked to get on the soccer field, always wanted to get to the gym for their gymnastics or whatever, and now there seems to be less interest, I would look at that. Those anything that's operating out of the norm of who
That's
they
great
naturally
advice.
are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And Amy, where can people find you?
Well, find me. I'm in private practice, New Perspectives for Life, right in the heart of East Cobb on Johnson Ferry Road. And the books they can find on Amazon. Just look up the title of the book and you'll find it. We also have a Facebook page for New Perspectives for Life, LLC. There's also a Facebook page for Insight Parenting for the book as well.
And we'll also link the Amazon for the Amazon link for this book onto this video so that they can find you. Well, Amy, thank you so much for your time and for your expertise. I know so many people are going to benefit from this. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest concerns that families with children have that are in an unhappy place. So I really, really appreciate you sharing all of your knowledge and experience.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. It was a good time.
Absolutely. And join us next time, and we'll catch you guys next week.